Good afternoon, neighbor. I am Alicia Dolan here at Crafting in My Corner. I have a really cute card to show you today now that my technology is caught up with me. And so here we go. We're going to make this card using the new Horizons bundle by Stampin' Up. So this is a really cute card. It opens up this way. You can take the ribbon off and it opens just like this. So this is called, this is a special fold, a fun fold card. I don't know why I couldn't think of that at first. So I'm going to show you how to make this card. Let's go ahead and get started. We are going to start with a piece of Marina Mist. And we are going to cut this 4.5 by 8 1/4. So we're going to cut it here at 4.5. Oops. And then we're going to turn it sideways and we're going to cut at 8 1/4. So here's our first piece, and we're going to score this at 5.5. So we're going to put it right here and then use our scoring blade. And can you see that little fold line right there? We're going to fold it right on that line. So there is our first piece. Now we need a second piece of Marina Mist that is 2 3/4 by 8. So we're going to cut it here at 2 3/4. And we're going to turn it sideways and cut at 8 inches. And this piece we are going to score at 4. Okay, and you'll have another nice score line there. So we're going to fold right along that line. And we've got our 2 pieces of Marina Mist all ready. Next, we are going to cut a piece of Sahara Sand. That will go right here for the background. And we're going to cut that at 5 1/4 by 4. So there's 5 1/4. And then we'll turn it to the side and we'll cut at 4. Okay, so here's our next piece for layering. And then we're going to take a piece of the New Horizon Designer Series paper. And we are going to cut this one so that it fits here on the left-hand side. And we'll cut that 4 by 2.5. So I'm going to cut it at 2.5 first. Whoops. And then I'm going to turn it sideways and cut at 4. And we have our piece ready. Oh, I think I did not cut that the right size. 2.5. Let's see, 2.5 by 4. Did I cut the... Okay, hold on. I'm going to double check this one because I think I might have cut it wrong. Yep, I did. That first piece should have been 4 1/4 by 8 1/4. And somehow I cut it at 4 1/2. So let me go over that just real quick again in case you missed it and I made a mistake. So our first piece of Marina Mist, we cut 4 1/4 by 8 1/4 and scored here at 5 1/2. Our second piece, we cut 2 3/4 by 8 and scored here at 4. Then our Sahara Sand, we cut 4 by 5 1/4, and that will go right here like this. This one will go here. And then our piece of Designer Series paper, we cut 2 1/2 by 4, and that we're going to attach right to the front. And now we need 2 pieces of basic white, one for the front and one for the inside, and we're going to cut those 2 1/2 by 3 3/4. So I have some scrap pieces here of basic white, and one is already cut at 2 1/2. So then we're going to turn it sideways, and we're going to give it that second cut at 3 3/4. So there's one, and we need one more of those. And this time I'm going to cut 3 3/4 first, just because of the shape of my scrap piece. I can get more out of this leftover bit if I cut it the other direction. So then I'll turn it sideways and do the 2 1/2. And in general, when I'm cutting my paper, I like to cut either from the bottom to the top if I'm working at the top of the paper, or from the top to the bottom if I'm working at the bottom of the trimmer. So there are my 2 pieces for stamping. Next, I want to show you how we're going to cut the gate. So the New Horizons suite comes with a Stampin' Cut and Emboss dies, and they look like this. So I'm going to move my trimmer to the side for a moment while we cut these pieces out. And we're going to take our, I don't have the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine yet, but I do have the Big Shot, which is the previous version. So we're going to need that. And I'm just going to slide the plates out. Oh, that makes it a little wobbly, doesn't it? And I need to use the multi-purpose platform and 2 of the clear plates. So I'm going to put this down first. I'm going to put in my piece of Sahara Sand. And I'm going to cut this smaller gate here just on the piece of Sahara Sand. So it looks like it will fit right here. Then I need to place this top plate over the top, and I'm just gonna roll it through. I'm trying to move a little bit slower so that the camera doesn't wobble. Okay, and then we have, when we turn it over, our first piece of the gate here, and some of the little pieces get stuck, so you just have to pop those out and put them to the side. So here's our first little gate. And then for the second gate, we're going to do something a little bit different. Stampin' Up! Sells Stampin' Dimensionals, which we could use to make this little bit of difference on our gate. But we're going to use what are called foam adhesive sheets. So this is like a really big Stampin' Dimensional. So what we're going to do is I'm going to cut a small piece of this, not too small because I want it to be as big as the other side of the gate will be. So I'm just going to use my trimmer over here off to the side, and I will show you as soon as I get back to the camera. So I've cut a piece that's about 2 by 2 3/4. And I'm going to cut my Stampin' Foam sheet so that I can place that on the top. So I'm going to cut a piece that's 2 by 2 3/4, and if you can see where I made little score lines for that, and then I'm just going to use my snips to trim that. So I'm just going to cut along that line. And then this way over here. And then what I want to do is take one side of this off, and I'm going to put my Sahara Sand right on top of there. And now I'm going to run it through the Big Shot again. There's only a little bit hanging off that end, but I don't think that's going to be too, hopefully not too sticky and so too big a problem. So we're going to set that on top of the plate. We're going to take our die that we're going to use for the other gate. So this little bit bigger one, we're just going to place that on top. We're going to cover it with the other plate, and we're going to run it through the same way that we did the first side of the gate. It's a little bit harder to go through, but it still will go. Okay, and then when we pull it out, it's stuck to the plate because it did hang over just a bit. But we're just going to peel it off of there. And then we'll kind of punch it out a little bit carefully. Okay. And what we have is our piece of gate with an adhesive backing already on it. So it's like a Stampin' Dimensional in whatever, and you can do this with any die that you have. You can put it on one of those foam sheets and use it this way. So I'm just going to punch out these little pieces. Okay, and I'm going to scoot those all out of the way. I'm going to put that on my stack with my other card parts that are already ready. Now I need one more die cut. So I have a piece of Mossy Meadow, and I'm just going to sit that down. And we're going to cut out one of these little grass bits with that. So I'm just going to place that on the top. I'm going to put the plate over, and then I'm going to run it through the machine. Okay. And when I pull it up, oh, it scooted a little bit, but I still got just enough of the grass. Okay, so here's our piece of grass. We're going to set that to the side. I'm going to put my die cuts back in their spots for now. I'm not sure that's exactly where they were, but they're settled in there. And then we're going to put this aside and start our stamping. Okay. So I am going to stamp today using my Stamparatus. And here is that. So on this piece of the gate, what I want to do is stamp this. It's like a wood plank from the On the Horizon set, and it's just going to give my gate a little bit of texture. So the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to turn it sideways. I'm going to lay this on here and use my plate to pick it up gently. I'm going to take my Sahara Sand ink, and I'm going to ink up my stamp. And close that plate down on top of it. And I'm actually going to do that twice because Sahara Sand is kind of it's not a very dark color, and I want a little bit more color on my gate. So I'm going to stamp it down again. And then I'm going to ink it up one more time. And I'm going to take this whole plate from the Stamparatus off, and I'm going to move it up one notch. And then I'm going to stamp again to get this second part of my gate. I'm going to set that to the side, grab the other gate, and I'm going to put it right in there. And I'm going to do the same thing with this side. So I'm going to ink up my stamp, and I'm going to close it right down on that gate. I'm going to ink it up again, and I'm going to pick it up, move it down one notch, and stamp again. So now my gate has just a little bit of color where before it was really plain. So here are the two sides of the gate. The one is going to be flat, and the other one is going to be popped up just a bit. Okay, and now I'm going to clean off this stamp with my chamois. And I can just wipe it off real quick and put it back in its case. I'm going to get my little piece of grass, and I'm going to do a similar thing with that. So now I'm going to use this little kind of grass stamp, and I'm going to set it over top of where my grass will be. I'm going to pick it up, and this time I'm going to add some Mossy Meadow ink. And when you're adding ink to your stamps, you always want to just tap, 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 tap. You don't want to press down hard. You just want to press gently. And there we have our grass. It has a little more texture to it with that stamp on there. We're going to set that aside. And we're going to wipe off our stamp again. We're going to pick that stamp up and put it back in its spot. Okay, and next we're going to stamp this white piece that's going to go on the inside of our card. So I'm going to set it right here, and I'm going to move my magnet down here so that it holds my piece of paper in place. And we are going to stamp some of these little birds for the inside of our card, and they are going to go right up here in the corner. So we can line them up where we want them to be. Close our plate, pick them up, and we're going to take our Sahara Sand ink to ink up our birds. And then when we close our plate down, they will be right here in the corner. And this is all I did for the inside of the card. You could stamp a sentiment in there if you wanted to, or add something else. Now for the outside of our card, I am going to move my piece of card over here because I want the birds this time to be on the left-hand side. So if I put it right here and lay down my, whoops, I think it's up a little bit too high. Let's see. Yeah, I like that better. So I'm going to ink my stamp up again. I'm going to stamp it down. And there are my birds. Now I'm going to clean off the birds and put them back where they belong. Okay, and now I'm going to move my piece of paper a little bit so that it's just a bit closer to the center. I found that with my Stamparatus, I like to stamp kind of in this corner. I feel like I get the best images there. But wherever you feel comfortable stamping is, of course, where you should stamp. Okay, so next, we're going to stamp our thinking of you up here in the corner. So I'm going to place that. Oh, and I did get it a little bit in my birds here this time. I'm going to put it down just a hair. I think maybe right there will be good. I'm going to pick that up, and this time I'm going to use my Tuxedo Black Memento ink. So I'm just going to open that up and tap it on my stamp until it looks like I have a good amount of ink on there. And then I can close that. And there's my sentiment. I can clean that off and put it right back away. Okay, and next we're gonna stamp our grass. So if you look closely at our card, you can see that there's a little bit of grass behind this fence over here, and there's some grass on this side. We're gonna do this side first because that is the easiest. So we're gonna put it right here because I like it to be just kind of sticking out the top of that gate. So we're gonna tilt it just a little bit like this. And if you measure, that kind of looks like it's gonna stick out about right. So we'll pick that up. We're gonna ink up our stamp. And close it down so we have our grass on the left-hand side. And now I'm going to show you a little bit of a trick that you may have seen before and you may not have. I'm going to use my silicone craft sheet to do a reverse image. So we're going to put it down here. We're going to ink up our image again. And we want to make sure that we get it good, and you want to have a good amount of ink on there. You don't want too much, but you definitely want to make sure that you have enough. And now we're going to stamp that directly onto our silicone craft sheet. So right here. And then to get our image to go to the other side, we're going to turn our piece of paper upside down, and we're going to very carefully set it on top of where we inked that up. So we're just going to put it like this, and we're going to press it down without smearing it around at all. And when we pick it up, we'll have a reverse image. It's a little bit lighter, but we'll have a reverse image on the other side of our piece of paper. And then we can just wipe that ink off of our craft sheet. It'll come right off. And these silicone craft sheets are really good for a lot of other things too. I will show you some more things in the future, but they're great for if you're gluing and you don't want anything to stick, they don't stick. But we'll talk more about those other options at a different time. I just wanted to show you a little bit of that reversed stamping today because it's a really nice option. It cleans up really easy and it's really easy to do. Okay, so now we have our we have one more thing to stamp before we start putting things together. So we are going to stamp our Sahara Sand piece of cardstock. So we're going to pick this up and put it away. Looks like I might need a little more water on my chamois later. And we are going to use the Stacked Stone stamp. Now this is the only one that's not included in the New Horizons suite. So what we're going to do, this is a background stamp. And what we're going to do is, you can see how the bricks go this way. They stack up like this. Well, what we want to do is stamp them onto our sheet, but it's not quite wide enough to do. So I'm going to show you how we do that. I'm going to put it here on our Stamparatus. I'm going to close the case and just sit it underneath the plate, and that just gives us a little more level surface to work on. And then what we're going to do is take our Sahara Sand ink, and we're going to ink this up really good. And we're going to take this and turn it upside down so that we're stamping on the front. And we're just going to sit it on here so that it lines up with the edges. And we're going to press it down carefully with our fingers so that the image gets all around. And then what we have when we pick it up is this, but we have just a slight bit here where we need a little more ink. So we're going to ink it up again. Just over here on this side. And what I'm going to do is turn it over and try to line this up kind of where the ink is. So we're going to do just like this. And then we're going to press it down just along that edge where we were missing a little bit. And when we turn it over, you can see a tiny bit of a line where we overlapped, but not too much. So there's our stamped background. And next we can go ahead and start putting our card together. Sorry, I had to add a little more water to my chamois. I just have a spray bottle down here that I use when it runs out. It got a little too dry. All right, so now our stamp's all cleaned off and we're gonna put our card together. Oh, I forgot my thing. Okay, so here are our pieces. We have our Marina Mist, our background piece, our stamped front, and our gates, our stamped inside, and our piece of DSP. Excuse me, it's a little bit cold in here today. It's making my nose run. All right, so we will start with this piece here. We're going to turn it over and add our glue. And I'm using the Tombow liquid glue. And we'll do a little bit around the edge and then a squiggle down the middle. Then we can turn that over and place it right here in the center. Press it down nice. Okay, and then next we're going to add this piece. So we'll turn that over, put our glue along this side, and then squiggle in the middle. And we're going to center that one over here. Okay, and here is our inside piece. So we're going to turn that over, add some glue, and that's going to go right here in the center. I was really excited to get this new Horizon suite. I love the paper. It's all watercolory. So pretty. We'll turn our designer series paper over and we'll put that on next. I'm sorry about my sniffles, you guys, if you can hear them. And we're going to put this right along that front left-hand side. You can probably tell that even my fingers are a little bit cold today. Okay, now we're going to fold this in and we're going to attach our front piece. Just like this. And that one is going to go here. And then we'll turn over our little gate and we'll add some glue. Let's see. And we'll just put a little bit. We'll put some on the top pickets here and a little bit on the bottom. Okay, and then we can turn that over. Oops, I'm trying to be careful not to glue my fingers. And we'll stick it right here along that edge. And next we're going to take our little piece of grass. And this one we are going to use some little Stampin' Dimensionals on. And we can use one of the minis. And then from when we popped out our little fence pieces, we have a few of these really tiny bits that I saved. And we can use those to help us pop up our grass. Whoop, not that one. That one was stuck too much. There we go. Oh, that one actually got the paper stuck to it. So I'll put a tiny bit of glue on there. It doesn't hurt to save those little pieces because you can always use them as extra dimensionals here and there when you're putting things together, especially little stuff like this grass. Now we could have cut a piece of grass and run it through I mean a piece of mossy meadow and run it through the grass die cut too. Now our other fence, all we have to do is peel off the back, and we're going to stick that right over here on this side. Oops. And then for these little pieces, the New Horizons suite comes with these pebble enamel shapes, which are really cute. There's no sparkle to them, but they're very shiny. And I thought that these little pieces right here would make really cool handles for our gate. So I just took those and I used my take your pick tool to kind of scoot them off of their spot a little bit. And I used the other end to pick them up. And I just placed them where I wanted the handles to be. Whoop, that one doesn't want to come up very easy. It's scooting all over. Okay, I'm just gonna pick it up. And I'm gonna try and put it right over here without using the tool. There we go. Okay, so there we have our card, and all we have left to do is put a little bit of ribbon around the front. So the New Horizon bundle also comes with this really pretty Marina Mist ribbon, and I think this one is, I'm not 100% sure what the pink color is. I think it's probably Blushing Bride, but I'm not 100% on that. I'll have to check and get back to you if you're interested in that. So then we're just going to close our card. And I'm having a little struggle with it. Of course. Tie our bow. And we want to tie it so that it keeps it closed. So it has to overlap this part just a little. Okay. There we go. We can even it out. And there we have, all we have to do is trim our ribbon, but this turned out really cute. It's a great card. I love this bundle, and I hope that you will make one of these and show us what stamp set you use and what pattern you use. You can change it. I did want to show you at least one other card that you can make with the same materials. And it is right over here. And this one is really cute too. Hold on one second. But here's another card that you could make with the same bundle, the same colors, the same pieces. And it's a great card that you could send anytime. Thank you for joining me today here at Crafting in My Corner. If you have any questions, feel free to message me or call me or comment below, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks for joining me today, and I'll see you again soon.